Welcome everyone, this is another post-match analysis featuring Spurs against Sheffield United from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs produced a dramatic late comeback to blunt the blades at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday following a 2-1 victory over Sheffield United. But now the dust has settled slightly, how do we think Spurs really did? How do you rate the performance? How did you think the manager performed? Did he have a positive impact on the game? Or did he affect the game in a positive manner, shall I say? Well, these are some of the things we're going to take a look at in the analysis. So we're going to take a look at the story of the game, looking at some of the key moments and talking points from the game, and I'm going to deliver a verdict on the match itself. Let's get into it. Story of the game. Sheffield United started brightly to match the sunshine in their yellow kit. I thought they pressed Tottenham well, they were first to the ball, they had a bit more energy in their play. Now, one of the explanations for this, I probably think, is hey, we had a lot of internationals on duty this week. Many of them were coming from far places. Sheffield United, not so much. So Sheffield United started the more energetic. I think they settled into the game quicker, and Spurs had a little bit of a sluggish feel to them. And Sheffield United did what probably most away teams set out to do, especially when they are the underdogs, which is to quiet the home fans, right? Keep it tight for the first 20 minutes, keep the crowd quiet, and eventually grow into the game. And that's how I think Sheffield United and the game went. They created a few openings with Vicario mainly. The ones that sticks to mind is the ball. They got down the right-hand side, across in, and then I think it's McAtee that comes on, strikes the ball low and hard well, and Vicario saves low with his feet. And Sheffield United had a few of these openings. They had a couple of other ones that kind of went straight at Vicario, who, gobbled them up with ease. We saw the threat that Sheffield United was primarily going to pose in this game just before half-time, when they had a corner, outswinger, and Matt Burney had a free header in the box, essentially, that went straight at Vicario. So we knew then that Sheffield United were keeping it tight, and they were looking to take opportunities. I wouldn't say so much on the counter, but primarily from set pieces. If we look at Spurs' story in the first half was they had lots of endeavour. Obviously, this is when I say Spurs had a poor performance, this is not so much because it was bad football per se. I just think it was a bit underwhelming, a bit sluggish, and kind of didn't really execute things very well. However, we had our first sight of goal by Assar after 8 minutes from a shot from the outside of the box. Then there was another opportunity we had with Basuma, which was a great build-up play with him and Kulusevski from the right, with then Basuma darting through the defence and getting a strike off of his left foot, and the keeper saved down low to his right. Around the 20-minute mark, coinciding with when I felt that Sheffield United did their job in terms of containing us, we gradually started to get into the game. We started to get a bit more momentum in the game a little bit. We were creating openings. We had one with Son on the box, who bent one from the left-hand side. That's one of his favourite positions. He bent one from around the box, and the keeper went down low to save to his left. Then following that, we had a Madison shot that was quite tame. And then we had the penalty decision, or the controversial penalty that wasn't given. For me, it was a penalty, and basically the guy, brought Madison down on the corner of the box. VAR did look at it, and they did not give it, seeing the fact that the referee did not give it, so they weren't going to overturn that decision. In the first half, so at the end of the first half, I was left with a feeling of a bit underwhelmed. It was a sluggish performance. It was hard to kind of, like I said, there was lots of endeavour, there was lots of work, there was lots of effort there. The quality was missing. I thought the wide players were ineffective. There was not enough urgency in our play, and we were allowing Sheffield United to get behind the ball, drop deep, and really just kind of see everything in front of them. So, for effort we did well, but I just felt quality was lacking. But again, that could be explained through the fact that there's a lot of people, brushing off cobwebs from the international break. So I felt Sheffield United probably would have been the happier of the two sides. But I want to comment on their tactics as well, which obviously spilled on into the second half. But the time wasting was unbelievable. The goalkeeper had me really wanting to throw tomatoes at him from the screen. It was just every little thing going down and taking an age to do it. Come on. And this is the reason why these time wasting, I guess, laws are coming in, because it is ridiculous what some of these players do, and they were doing this from early in the game. You can understand it a little bit towards the end of the game, but they were doing it throughout, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. And the goalkeeper had already been booked, so the referee didn't even choose to book him again. Take a brave man, but the rules should be the rules, right? If you're going to try and uphold the rules of the game and you want people to respect the rules and the authority of the game, you know, and you want to stamp out things, then the way you stamp it out was give him a second yellow card. He was taking liberties. So that was my first half verdict. Second half started. I was expecting Spurs to come out all guns blazing. They didn't really. They kind of started the second half similar to how the first was. You know, again, lots of endeavour. For me, lacking quality. So Sheffield United contained Spurs well, man. You know, for a large part of that game, it was the perfect away performance. If you're going to take Sheffield United's perspective, they contained us well. They kept breaking up play and making the game a very choppy and bitty game. But that suited them. They wanted to stop our flow, stop us getting into any real rhythm. And for large parts of the game, they did succeed with that, and which is why I feel that Tottenham didn't overcome those challenges that were really in front of them for large parts of the game. Eventually, Sheffield United got their rewards. Long throw, right into the back, into the mixer. I think it bounces or someone flicks it, falls to the back post, and then Hamer sweeps a nice finish with his left foot in off the post. Nothing Vicario could do about that. But this highlighted to me some fragilities I'm going to get into in a second. With Spurs, again, same as the first, lots of endeavour, still asking questions, still the more assertive team, of course, but again, lacking quality up until the changes. The game was crying out for changes, and once the changes did come, then I think Spurs, that's when I think the game changed for Spurs. If the changes didn't come, I think we would have lost that game. And so I was crying out for substitutions to be made from about the 69th minute, maybe even before then. I remember looking at the clock, and when I saw 69 minutes, I thought the changes should have been done at least by then. After that, now it was getting a bit late, and I don't think he made the changes until after Sheffield United scored. So he made them round about the 78th minute, coming up to the 80th minute. And so about 10 to 12 minutes too late for me. I'll say too late, too long. But nonetheless, the changes did come, and he made a triple swoop, because at the time, I was thinking, take off Solomon, take off Kulusevski, and bring on Brennan Johnson and Perisic. And he did do that, but he also went one step further, to his credit, and he took off Son. And he brought Richarlison on, and obviously Richarlison went on to have a massive impact on the time that he was on the pitch. But firstly, let me just talk about Brennan Johnson. I thought Brennan Johnson looked bright. He had a disallowed goal, which obviously was slightly offside, but it just showed what he's about. Getting in behind defenders, came in from the right, and it was a nice tidy finish, to be honest with you. I was happy when it went in, but he knew he was offside. You could tell the way he celebrated. He wasn't sure he was on, and he was off. But he looked like a live wire, and I do think he's a live wire. I had reservations around his finishing before we signed him, and that will remain to be seen. But that was a tidy finish. But then Perisic, for me, Perisic's made a difference as well. I actually think that, well, before I get into that, so Perisic was another sub, and so was Richarlison, so was Johnson. Now Perisic for me made a difference. He had the assist with Richarlison's goal, and one of the things I've come to see with Perisic when Perisic's on the pitch is he puts in balls of quality. He knows how to pick out a player. Now, whether he can play 90 minutes is another matter, but he's definitely got quality on the ball. Spurs' first goal comes from a corner. Perisic whips the ball in, and at the front post, a nice little darting run. Richarlison loses his marker, heads the ball into the back of the net. 1-1, we're back in business. And at that point, you felt the momentum was coming with Spurs, and because there was a lot of added on time, you thought, okay, Spurs might get a couple of more chances here, and if they do, can and will they take them? And they did, because only a couple of minutes after that, this goal was very identical almost in terms of how Spurs, when James Maddison got the goal against Burnley, right? Sheffield United really should have cleared their lines. They tried to play out from the back. Udogie presses, wins the ball well on the left-hand side. Again, I'm a fan of Udogie. And he wins the ball on the left-hand side. He plays the ball inside to, I think, Højbjerg, who then plays it into Richarlison. Richarlison then beats his man, plays the ball into Kulusevski, and Kulusevski with a right foot. Who knew, right? I didn't think he had one. Well, he showed a great composure, and he put the ball in the back of the net and sent the White Hart Lane faithful into raptures. So that was the game, and Spurs won 2-1. Here's my 7 talking points from the game. The first one is the referee had a poor game. The referee did not handle this game very well in many ways, and I think it shows in terms of his performance. It was not a 12. I can't remember how many yellow cards were now. I think there was at least 12 yellow cards. It was not and a red card. It wasn't a 12 card and a red card kind of game, you know. And so for me, he was giving yellow cards out like they were confetti, and that kind of again allowed the game to be very choppy. It probably suited Sheffield United, to be honest with you, but it certainly didn't suit us. And I felt he was bad on the decisions by giving cards. I thought he was quite petulant with some of the cards. He allowed an inordinate amount of time wasting, and you know, he just didn't manage the game well. I thought some of the decisions was poor. The VAR one, I thought he was right on it. He should have seen that was a foul. But between him and the VAR, they got that wrong. And so yeah, it was a bit of a joke, poorly officiated. I thought he struggled to control the game. So my second point here is the wide players were very ineffective for me. I was calling for them to be changed around about the 65th minute mark. They weren't doing enough. There was not enough precision. You know, Solomon was slipping all over the place like he had ice skates on. I don't know what he was thinking, but he just felt like he needed to change his boots, or he just got, you know, sometimes when people's brain works faster than they're able to execute. I just don't know why. Like he just kept slipping all over the place. And I felt his final product was not too good. I thought it was lacking. And so, you know, but you know, listen, people are gonna have inconsistent games. But you know, yesterday I thought he was ineffective. Same was true with Kulusevski. I just think Kulusevski just slows the play down too much. He takes too long to do things. You know, I just want to see more incision sometimes, and I just felt like he took too long. And one of the things I realized with the wide players is that there's no point in playing the ball into the box in the air when Son's in the middle. Son has only scored 4 headed goals for Spurs in his whole career. So this tells you that Son doesn't win too many headers, and I'm sure I would imagine most of the headed goals he has scored is probably because he is in acres of space and he's just nodding it in. Whipping the ball in the box, expecting Son to get on the end of it from a heading point of view is a pointless tactic for me. And I think far too many times the wide players didn't really see this. I think you can do that when Richarlison is on the pitch. You can't do it when Son's on the pitch. You're gonna have to leave the balls low, you know, low and in front of him, or you're gonna have to be looking at doing pullbacks and stuff. So I don't think the wide people read the game well there. They're putting too many balls in the box that are just missing people. There's not too many players in Spurs who you think they're gonna get on the end of a header. Maybe from a corner, then you've got the big centre backs that can come in. But from open play, crossing the ball in the box, you know, it's not really going to work. And so I actually think if you've got Son on the pitch, so if you've got Richarlison on the pitch, you're probably going to have Perisic on the pitch rather than Solomon. Yeah, again, I thought it was a sluggish performance. I am going to put this down to the international break, and people probably just been a bit tired, a bit fatigued, a bit lagging, you know. So yeah, it was a bit sluggish, but at the same time they showed good character, good resilience. They did push the action. They were the team trying to win the game. So, you know, in terms of effort, application, you know, and just really you know, character and all that sort of stuff, no, they tick those boxes. Just in terms of execution, in terms of, you know, being cute and having the right strategy to kind of overcome Sheffield United, and it took a long time to really figure that one out, and it didn't look like figuring out until the changes kind of came. But, you know, we're not going to play brilliant in every performance, and so, you know, we're just going to take that with the territory. But they ultimately got the win. That's what matters. So I said in the prediction video that I'm not convinced by our defensive structure and resilience at this moment in time. Although I like the defenders we've got, and I think they've all contributed and played well up until now, I can see vulnerabilities there, and we saw that against Sheffield United. And you know, I think they're going to struggle with set pieces. If they start playing teams who are very effective at set pieces, I would worry about Tottenham from a defensive standpoint at this moment in time. Sheffield United had a couple of corners and they always looked like there was going to be a threat, and their goal came from a set piece effectively from the low throw. So I think we might struggle with that. And I also find that when the ball is switched, and so it goes, you know, it goes over the centre backs and it comes to the fullback area, particularly Poro's side, but it's not just him. I think there's a vulnerability there. They don't really pick up runners well, so there's always, you know, a lot of goals I seem to concede. There's people who are getting in and around the back post area or losing markers with, you know, who obviously have got their back to the attacking player. So I think there's some of that needs to be worked out. Son down the middle is not for every game. So there has been this campaign to have Son pushed down the middle as our number 9, and to be honest with you, I generally agree with it, but only in certain games, because I think for me, as I said, I think Son is on the decline. Son needs to really adapt his game if he's going to have longevity, because, you know, he's going to be getting slower and slower. He's not the fastest person. He's not slow either, but one of his assets is the fact that he is able to get away from players. He's got good movement. He likes to get in behind. The minute he can't get in behind, I struggle to see what value Son brings to the team. He's not very strong with the ball, with his back to goal. He's not really a link-up player. He doesn't really beat a man with trickery and skill. I know he likes to do his little step overs and whatever, but he doesn't really succeed in beating his guy most of the time. And so if Son is not able to lose defenders and get in behind and find spaces behind them, I struggle to see how he's going to have an impact. And again, he's not someone who's a threat in the air like a Richarlison would be. So I don't think Son can play number 9 in every game. I think he can play number 9 in games where it's going to be generally open or the other team's going to come out and play as well. Then you will think that Son will find pockets of spaces, or he'll be found by people like Maddison, Kulusevski and whatnot. But in a game like yesterday, it highlighted that Son is not the answer in down the middle all the time. Richarlison would be a better fit in certain games. And I think that's going to be down to Ange to know and figure out which ones that's going to be, or how you might keep teams guessing. Do you start with Richarlison or do you start with Son, depending on how another team might set up. Postecoglou, slow changes. In the end, Postecoglou has been proven right. I felt he took a bit too long to make these changes, and I would have made them probably at least 10 minutes before he made them. And ultimately it's worked out, right? If it didn't work out, I'd be here criticizing him and that decision, but it worked out, and so we have to say well done to him. Even though I do think he was slow, I thought Perisic and Johnson should have come on soon. It was very obvious that the wide players were very ineffective, so he should have made a change there. But credit to him for the triple substitution. He added Richarlison to the mid, and he took Son off, which was a good thing, because again, Son was having a good game, but he's a captain and he's playing down the middle. The fans want him to play down the middle, and he took him off. So I think that was a good thing for him. So well done to him. And ultimately he affected the game. He had a positive impact on the game with his decisions, and that's what you want to see a manager do when the game needs changing and it's not going in our favour. Richie pays dividends. Richarlison's had a hard little tough time at the moment, obviously with things going on in his personal life, and also he hasn't had the fortune on the pitch. He only had one Premier League goal up until yesterday, and he's even coming to a bit of criticism from Spurs fans, a section of Spurs fans. I'm not one of those fans at this point. That's not to say that I won't jump on that brigade at some point if his performances deserve criticism. But I do think that he should be given a chance, and he looked well. He changed the game. You have to say he had an impact, and that's all you can ask for your subs. And one of the things is, if you're going to have the wide people, or even James Maddison throwing balls into the box and crossing balls in, you need someone who can put their head on it. Someone who can move and get in front and nick a ball or glance a ball. Son doesn't really do that, but Richarlison does, and he showed that he does, and that he can. And so it's going to be a good, interesting dilemma for how Postecoglou sets up. I still think he will start with Son, naturally, because Son is a captain and part of the leadership group. I think he will start games with Son, but Richarlison probably will have a lot more of an impact from the bench, I imagine. So yes, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye out for Richie, and let's get behind him. And my last point here is Brennan Johnson. He made his debut, and I thought he looked very bright. He looked bright. He was positive. He was always looking to get in. He was running at players. Showed some nice tidy touches. I felt he should have come on earlier, because I think he might have had a bigger impact. But yeah, and also obviously had a goal disallowed that it was obviously offside, but it was close. But it was a good finish. It was a good finish. So he showed his bit of his talent there. And I think going in behind is going to be dangerous. And actually when he came on, he was obviously on the right, and then Kulusevski got pushed into the middle. And that's an interesting one to look out for as well, is moving Kulusevski from the right into the middle. Because I didn't think Kulusevski had a good game. And I know he got the winning goal, which obviously is going to improve his ratings when I do a player ratings. But generally he was quite ineffective there. I think he will be more effective in the middle. So we should look out for that and see if Ange does that more often. And now we head to the North London derby next weekend. How do you think that that's going to go? Based on our performance and our form so far in this season, are you confident that Spurs can get a positive result at the Emirates? We don't often do it. We've only won one game there since the Emirates has opened. So are you feeling confident? And are there some changes that you probably would like to see either from the manager or the players approaching that game? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section, or like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, take care.